Here are 9 minutes of reasons why Pokemon movesets should be taken with the same seriousness as its anime logic. I mean, you don't even have to look that hard. Lickitung, who is listed as the licking Pokemon, could not learn Lick until the 2nd generation of Pokemon, but you probably knew that. Just like you probably know that Growlithe can't learn Growl in any generation. I'm just getting the obvious ones out of the way first so I can fully focus on the most obscure and bizarre later in the video. However, until then, let me direct your attention to Grimmsnarl, a pretty threatening dark type introduced in Sword and Shield. In fact, some might even describe him as grim. Can he learn the dark type move Snarl though? Reread the title of this video and the answer should make itself evident. Just be thankful he can learn Bulk Up while being categorized as the Bulk Up Pokemon, a pretty positive contrast to the rest of this video. Cause there are many Pokemon out there that their designs make some of the moves they can learn and can't learn extremely questionable. How is Pupitar using Dragon Dance? How is Seedot using Defog? How can Swablu learn Body Slam whilst only weighing 1.2 kg, or the same weight as a small pineapple? How is Cryogonal able to pull off a Poison Jab? Do they try to stab the target with one of their edges? And where does the poison come from? Another great example is Diglett and Dugtrio, who are capable of learning moves Growl, Screech, and Uproar despite not having mouths. Perhaps some people at Game Freak were fooled into thinking this red dot was a mouth instead of a nose. Speaking of noses, Wingull has a massive one, although it can't put it to good use due to it not learning Peck. Mind you, it would be quite funny to imagine Wingull's evolution Pelipper try and peck something. You know who can learn Peck? Blaziken. In spite of Mr. KFC over here being designed after a flightless bird, it can also learn Brave Bird. Meanwhile, Fearow, who has been quite clearly a bird since Generation 1, still can't learn it. Maybe it needs some confidence lessons? While we're on the topic of birds, let's switch back to Garchomp, who isn't one, but is quite capable of flying even while carrying a human on its back. Regardless, this dragon type is unable to learn the HM Fly. Don't worry that your flight is cancelled though, as the Pokemon world has plenty of options for travelling by sea. One of course being Aggron. Not only does this Pokemon hate being in water due to its 2x weakness, but with the heavy metal ability, this Triceratops can weigh up to 720 kg. That's plenty of weight to carry both you and your family to certain death. Okay, if flying and surfing are impractical, how about driving? Well, you better be riding in the right direction, because the car Pokemon Reveroom here does not know how to do a U-turn. Maybe they're just a law-abiding Pokemon that doesn't take unnecessary risky maneuvers. Well then, explain this. Regardless, it seems Game Freak is quite perplexed as to what birds do and even what birds are in the first place. The next case is no exception. This is Frostmoth. Now I'd like you to point out to me where you think the feathers are on its design. The answer is none of them, because moths do not have feathers. Yet Frostmoth for some reason learns the move Feather Dance. I even searched it to make sure, and now Google probably thinks I have room temperature level IQ. The only thing that came up is that some moths' antennae appear feathery. There are no actual feathers on their body. But if you thought Pokemon's classification of birds was bad, you are not ready to see how they define horses. High Horsepower is a move introduced in the 7th generation of Pokemon. As you can see, the animation shows the user attacking the opponent and leaving the mark of a horseshoe. This is irrefutable evidence that any Pokemon that uses this attack is a horse. Examples of horses in the Pokemon world include Barboach, Orthworm, Nosepass, Bloodmoon Ursaluna, and of course, Slugma. As well as correctly identifying which Pokemon are horses, it is also imperative that you are not fooled by imposters. Pokemon that claim to be horses, yet can't even lace up their horseshoes. Cinderace laces up an entirely different shoe. Well, technically it's a football boot, as its design is based on a football player. And no, to my 41.3% of American viewers, I will not be calling it soccer. In spite of this, Cinderace is unable to learn the moves Dive, Fake Tears, or Foul Play. Okay, this next one is straight up cruel. Camerupt is a fire ground type. meaning that water type moves will do 4 times the damage they normally would. So I guess someone at Game Freak thought it would be a sick joke to let Camerupt learn Rain Dance, a move that increases water type damage by a further 50%. And it becomes even funnier when you realize Camerupt is Maxi from Team Magma's Ace Pokemon, a group of people that want to completely remove all water from the planet, and rival Team Aqua, a group actively looking to summon the legendary Pokemon Kyogre and cause a never-ending flood. What side are you on exactly, Camerupt? Speaking of legendary Pokemon, they're not exempt from ridiculous decisions either. Take Entei, for example, a Pokemon that famously causes a volcano to erupt whenever it balks. Fun fact, in the weeks leading up to a volcanic eruption, intense earthquakes can often be felt in the areas around the volcano. Surely you'd think this means a legendary like Entei could learn the move Earthquake, but apparently not. They only gave out the move to appropriate candidates like Spheal. Entei isn't the only legendary beast with a move choice that will make you go, Its electric type counterpart Raikou somehow learnt how to use the water type move Scald during their 8th generation of Pokemon. You could argue this is more of a balance change rather than an incredibly illogical oversight, but the only water move this tiger could learn for 20 years was Rain Dance. And now all of a sudden they are able to shoot boiling water out of their mouth. It just doesn't add up, especially when there already is the water type legendary Suicune to round out this trio. The well-researched may know that these 3 Pokemon perished in a burning building long ago, before being brought back to life and granted immense power by the legendary bird Ho-Oh. So when a move called Revival Blessing, that lets you revive one of your Pokemon, was introduced in Generation 9, everyone thought that Ho-Oh's lore would make it, right, look, you get the video by now, this chicken can't revive anything. Our penultimate and final legendary Pokemon on this list is Zamazenta, and this one might be the most illogical decision on this list. A long time ago, Zamazenta worked together with a king to defeat a giant alien hand. A key part of Zamazenta's success was its ability to fuse itself with the King's Shield, taking on a brand new appearance and gaining the Steel typing. What it did not gain at any point though, was the Steel type move King's Shield, despite it literally, wielding a King's Shield. Now I know what some of you might say, but Zamazenta only turns into this form when it's holding the rusted shield as a held item. If you're a big Aegis fan, you may add that King's Shield is exclusive only to the ghostly fellow, and that it should stay that way. Luckily, Game Freak's favoritism for Zamazenta's sister Zacian can cause these counter-arguments to crumble. The blue doggo in question learns Sacred Sword, a move that makes no sense for it to have without her own item, the Rusted Sword, equipped, and also used to only belong to an exclusive set of Pokemon. Look, I know that kind of devolved into a rant, but it's just really hard being a Pokemon Shield owner. At least Game Freak redeemed themselves a little bit by giving Zamazenta Body Press in Generation 9. But some sins have still been left unresolved. So you may be wondering, what's the last reason on this list, and is that Staraptor can learn Struggle Bug? I didn't know where to put this one, I just found it completely nonsensical, and it's probably my favourite on the entire list. Anyway, if you'd like to see more of this type of content, please consider subscribing. We're trying to hit 500k subscribers by the end of the year, so any help is much appreciated. Thank you to all my channel members, and I'll see you in the next video.